do a project on the network devices on the
Mm-hmm.
ATM,
Mm-hmm.
they really are strict with the protocol. Even when I have my PNC on my back, it is also
Yeah.
almost unachievable.
Mm-mm.
The goal. So I think it's not your team's fault. Your team's already created the policy, created the already have the
Mm-hmm.
NDA signed for their personnel, but it is this is a case of kecuaian lah.
Yeah. I think we couldn't blame UITM as a whole because sometimes you may have the most tightened security, yeah. But if let's say you put unethical person to manage it, sometimes it can be breached by the user, by the personnel itself, just like the 1 cent case last, I think many years ago. He worked as a clerk in the bank, isn't it? And suddenly he transferred 1 cent from everybody's account and nobody noticing it, um, until they saw like he is living in the most luxurious lifestyle, and then people start thinking how on earth he get all those money. So yeah, I'm sure this is unintentional, but however, I think the mechanism on how to improve it should be rethink of. Okay, so based on your solutions, yeah, um, I don't see any mistakes here because I think whatever you mentioned here is correct. Yeah, talking about data security measures, of course, if you are in cybersecurity, of course you have to have SOPs, you have to have strict measures dealing with data. Yeah. If you work in the banking sector, I think security should be much more higher. Training awareness program, yes, definitely. When we talk about mechanistic approach, it's more structural. Yeah, mechanistic is more structural, more objectify. You may bound it to a certain procedures, policies, yeah, regulations. Okay, so looking at this one, yeah, response plan, okay, data contingency plan, all that, okay. Okay, organismic is more on the organizational approach, more on the soft part of the technology. Okay, it deals with humans, of course, and we talk about ethical awareness, training, and all that. Yes, correct. Yeah. Data privacy, yes, yes, you must have a framework. And in fact, we have PhDs doing on, cybersecurity framework, reevaluate some of the policies and so forth. So if let's say you're going for your PhD, you can actually go into this, yeah, because perhaps at the master's level, you it is not advisable to address on the policy matters or strategy matter because at master's level for coursework, you only about what 15 credit hours. Sorry, not 15 credit hours. It's about like 6 credit hours. So, 6 credit hours, master by coursework. It is not advisable for you to do research on strategic policies and everything because you don't have much time to dwell into it, yeah, because it requires a long-term study. So I think PhD level should be all right. So those who are thinking about doing PhD after this, okay. Exercise 2, all right. Information processing. So I think now is already week 4. So week 1, week 2, week 3, I have explained to you how you look a problem, okay, a situation in various ways. So this subject basically to introduce you on how you look at a problem from different perspective. So last week we look at from the perspective of mechanistic, behaviorist, organismic, information processing, because all these have influence on how the designer should be designing a solution, especially a system or product or services. Okay, so it's good that all your answers actually are correct. Okay, it's good that you are aware some of the user interfaces that dedicated for short term, long term, because whatever product or system that you are going to develop is actually for the users, and you should know that users have limitation, limited capabilities, and in fact they can't remember 10 different passwords. So how are you going to assist them in terms of, let's say they have forgotten their password, as simple as that. And in fact we have like password management and so forth. Yeah, you can download your apps and everything, and then you can just it remind you about your password. Imagine nowadays everything is online, and you have to remember, like, I think more than different passwords, yeah, to access all kinds of system. Okay. Yeah, basically all the answers are correct here. Yeah, definitely navigation and all this, yeah. So, okay, so what design features can encourage users to remember critical security information in the long term? So just now the short term, long term, yeah, it's correct. When I review it, yeah, pandai-pandai semua. Okay, how can cognitive load be minimized through user interface design? Okay, cognitive workload, yeah, clear visual hierarchy, yes, yes. Okay, error prevention, yeah. So I hope that by doing these exercises, you alert on how the design is being designed. It's not just simply like the designer design, out of aesthetic values or creativity. But I guess the designer who designed this kind of online internet banking does pay attention in terms of cognitive workload, information processing, long-term and short-term memory, and I think whatever they design really amazing, yeah. And of course, they always have to upgrade their authentications and everything. In fact, your laptop, your handphones, yeah, dah guna pelbagai different types of authentication. Okay, good. Of course, bolehlah you jawab sebab you tengok you refer to kan. But then in the test, the question is not as direct as this, yeah. Okay. Okay, for this group, okay, good group effort by the previous group, yeah. Okay. All right, data lake, okay. Same goes, mechanistic approach, access control, yeah. All the answers are correct. The way you answer it correct. Cybersecurity awareness training, yes, definitely. Communication, incident response time, correct. Yeah. Role of processing, okay. Login, okay. Almost similar answers with the previous one. That's good. Okay. Yeah. This one is everything is correct. Okay, I think because you guys are cybersecurity students, so I think you know better than the other group. Okay. Um, yeah, everything is correct. Okay, well done. Okay, well done, everybody. So I hope that by week 3, yeah, by week 3, you can already understand, okay, how, on which angle should you address a problem situation and the factors that will contribute on how you approach to a problem situation, because this subject will help you to position your proposal later, because you are going to take CSP 750, which is a proposal for your final year thesis, yeah. So in a way that this subject will help you to position your overall problem situation. You may have a topic, but how you're going to approach it. You're going to approach it in terms of you want to criticize in terms of lack of methodological approaches, or you want to look from the design perspective of cybersecurity, or you want to look into from the humanistic factors of cybersecurity. So this subject hopefully will help you to engage yourself in positioning the problem and in what angle. You can't just do research just by having a title, but in terms of the perspective on what you want to address it, from which perspective. Is it individual? Is it organizational? Is it community? Or is it the process? Or is it the procedure? Or you want to criticize in terms of lacking of a framework or policies? Not so much, yeah. Policies, I think kalau you suggest proposal on policies, agak vulnerable di situ ya, because it's only 6 credit hours. So yeah, even cybersecurity doesn't necessarily you address from the technological point of view. Yeah, sometimes you can address from the humanistic point of view, because it also involves human that actually operating all kinds of technology. So it's quite interesting. My PhD student is working on cybersecurity, but he's looking at human interaction factors in cybersecurity. So he's doing a case study in Nigeria, because in Nigeria, the banking sector still, in terms of cybersecurity awareness, is very low. Yeah. So yeah, he's looking from a humanistic point of view rather than on the technological side. Okay. All right. So well done. Okay. For the exercises. Okay. So we move on to our today's lecture. All right. So today's lecture, we talk about system thinking. Yeah, I'm not sure if you are familiar with different types of system thinking, but then today I will introduce some of the tools, yeah, to address on system thinking and how the system thinking is applied in organization in terms of making decisions. Yeah. So your learning outcome for today is to differentiate different thinking patterns, because everybody will think differently, and how do you presented it, okay, how you presented it to your teams. All right, you have various ways on presentation of the problem situation. Use system thinking tools to model a problem situation, apply, okay, thinking patterns in problem solving, and appreciate the, can't see here, approach the system approach of problem solving. So let's see what is thinking patterns. Why do you need to understand thinking patterns in problem solving? So it is important, yeah, because everyone have different way of doing things. Same thing goes to reflecting back to the long-term and short-term memory, yeah, and also avoiding cognitive workload, and perhaps you're lost in terms of information, and how to make sure navigation-wise you're not lost, especially if the apps is being used by elderly, yeah. So that's why I think in Maybank, they try to minimize some of the cognitive workload by reducing a lot of words. Yeah. So if you look at the previous Maybank websites, there are too many words there. So nowadays, they already simplified the website, the new version, so that it minimizes the cognitive workload and also information processing. So yeah, I think the designers keep on enhancing their design so that it will become simpler but also effective. Yeah. So thinking patterns, thought versus thinking. So what do you understand by thoughts? Yeah. And what do you understand by thinking? So thoughts usually things that comes into your mind. Yeah, thoughts. Apa ya? Dalam bahasa Malaysia, thoughts ni apa ya? I lupa lah pula perkataan tu, thoughts. Things that comes into your mind. It's not perspective, but I don't know lah, in BM, somebody can assist me. Thoughts here. So your thoughts sometimes linger around your mind, the question is what if, why, yeah, that is thoughts, yeah. Everything that comes to your mind that goes through our heads, okay, thoughts. Just like this cartoon, okay. What about okay, this one is more on the definition of the thoughts, yeah. Okay, what about the concept here? Concept is actually mental representation of what we know about things which occur in our thoughts, yeah. To communicate thoughts, we need a language. So sometimes you have thoughts about something, yeah, but how do you want to convey your thoughts so that people can actually understand your ideas, yeah, your explanation. All right. So if in informal communication, perhaps it's a lot easier. But if your thoughts related to a formal communication, then you must have a tools or templates to convey your thoughts so that everybody can understand. So a concept emerge from thoughts, yeah, emerge from ideas. So concept tu you faham lah kan, concept, okay. how do you form a concept? So sometimes you draw, okay, sometimes you explain through design or something, yeah, okay. And a part of problem solving process requires conceptualization. So from the concept, the process kata kerja dia adalah conceptualization. So another words of conceptualization is like formulation, understanding, comprehension, creating by mental act. Why do you have to understand this? Because when you start doing your proposal, yeah, the first question will be, okay, what is your problem statement? Okay, and after that, from problem statement, they will ask you, what is your research objective? Okay, so that problem statement is eventually comes from your comprehension and understanding of that problem situation. Yeah, and talking about problem, there are so many problems. Yeah, and from what angle do you want to address the problem? So that's what I say. Are you going to address it through, is that a methodological problem? Is that a technological based problem? Is that a management problem? Organizational, individual? Is that a community problem? Or perhaps in terms of strategies, policies, yeah, procedures? So problem statement is a precise indication of what the problems that you want to solve in your proposal. Then move on into the question of what will be the research questions and objective that derive from the problem statement just now, because problem research objective is something that you want to solve. Okay, so the process of conceptualization comes where you try to solve the problem by looking into the processes. Yeah, by looking into the processes, what are the issues, what are the challenges, limitations, and so forth. So your ideation is being represented through this conceptualization. Yeah, it may be hard for you to understand it, but I think when it comes to the proposal, I'm sure you can do it. The same thing, the process is similar to how you want to approach your PhD as well. Yeah, the process of conceptualization. Okay. Okay, thinking patterns again, thoughts again, yeah. So elements of thoughts, all right, it can be deciphered as like point of view, frame your references. So in the problem statement just now, you frame your references to what context, yeah. So you cannot just dump any problems and say that, hey, I want to do this for my proposal, tak boleh, yeah, because problem statement must have context. Dalam konteks apa? Dalam konteks banking ke, dalam konteks education ke, dalam konteks apa. So cyber security, there's a lot of context in that besides, internet banking, because we are looking from perhaps cyber security awareness, yeah, that is at a community level, for example. Okay, purpose. Okay, elements of thought must have purpose, ya. Dia mesti ada konteks, dia mesti ada purpose. Tak ada je you saja-saja nak fikir out of the blue, ya. Question and issues, problem issues, information. Yeah, sometimes your thoughts comes from your observations, facts, experiences. Let's say you are the cybersecurity manager and you look at these issues, recurrence of the same issues. So based on your experiences or observations, you think that, oh, I must look into these issues. It's in my thoughts, yeah? How do I look at these issues? From which angle should I look at these issues? Yeah. Interpretations, concepts, yeah. Sometimes element of thoughts, like for a researcher, they also reflect back to the theory. So like my students, the conceptualization of human factors goes back into the theory of culture, the theory of human behavior. He also look into human behavior information processing, yeah, because he's looking into the strategies on how to complement human factors into the cybersecurity policies at the end of the day, so that a proper intervention is being done by the banking sector, so that cybersecurity awareness is higher than the one that they have right now. Okay. All right, assumptions like sometimes you're making hypotheses as a researchers, yeah. Um, yeah, presuppositions, yeah, prepositions is all that hypothesis. So some of these elements directed to research elements, some of these elements perhaps at a managerial level or at designer developer levels, you may have this kind of process here coming to you. All right, so what is thinking? So we talk about thinking patterns just now is thoughts, thinking patterns. So thinking is actually mental processes, yeah, to make sense out of experiences. It also involves cognition. So thinking also reflect your long-term, short-term memory, information processing, cognitive workload, and everything. So rational thinking, irrational thinking, yeah. So rational thinking usually comes with reasoning. Sometimes we do have our own irrational thinking where sometimes it contributes to our dilemma, yeah. And looking into thinking pattern, as you can see here, we have been doing long-term, short-term memory and how does it reflect to the design, okay, of the system, of product or any services, okay. And yeah, I think you already understand on this, yeah. You have product and services. How do you create, for example, like how do you create a brand? Okay, how do you create a brand that can store in the mind of the user? If you look at, for example, if you look at Apple logo, yeah, Apple logo, you know that this is premium, this is luxury, this is expensive, this is good, yeah. So how do you do that? How do you create a brand that is so persuasive, okay, until people look at your brand and they have this pre-assumption, yeah, pre-assumption, thinking that this brand is good. So it takes a lot of effort in terms of creating a persuasiveness, yeah, not just the technology itself, but in terms of the marketing. So I think the marketing people is good, okay, because the brand strategy. So I think that's why talking about organization, you need to have a good team in marketing strategy, yeah, because you need to create a persuasive advertisement, persuasive brand, so that people will trust you. So besides Apple, what do you think the brand that people trust nowadays? Brand apa ya?
Tesla.
Tesla. Okay, but Tesla is just for a selected customer segmentation, isn't it? It's rising. Yeah, it's rising. People want to own Tesla. In fact, Tesla price in Malaysia is quite good, yeah, because they don't convert the price in Singapore. Uh, the price in Singapore is much more higher, but they don't really convert. Let's say dekat sana jual like 200 Sing dollars, dekat sini they convert the money tak. Dia akan jual according to the price in Malaysia. So that's a good thing. And then I think government in terms of incentive, yeah, government give a lot of incentive, yeah, free uh, dia bagi apa, free charging kan, free charging kalau you ada beli something ke apa ke, yeah. So actually government wanted to support Tesla users because in terms of environmental and everything, yeah, but of course it will take a long time for the government to set up the infrastructure. Currently they need about like berapa ya charging station. Currently we only have 3,000 plus, but actually they need about 25,000 charging station, yeah. So thinking of like, and then currently you have to download more than 32 apps that can help you to manage your journey, because you need to calculate, yeah, from let's say from here to Kelantan, uh, berapa jam you kena charge, and then the nearest station. So I think in East Coast, sorry, in West Coast rasanya tak banyak charging station ya. So kalau you nak buat Tesla kat sana tu, I was like, kat mana lah you nak charge kan? Kalau dekat sini banyak lah. So the infrastructure is still in the process of development, yeah. Okay, so yeah, persuasive marketing, yeah, is something hanya orang-orang kreatif saja, that can actually develop a persuasive marketing, a persuasive brand. Contohnya macam I think the women or your wife probably know Duck kan, product by Bibi Yusof. She create the marketing thinking that tudung is just a tudung actually. Okay. But then she create in a way that her tudung, her brand of tudung is luxury. So whoever wears that and show off the dark charm, okay, dark charm tu adalah terselit dekat apa tudung tu. It's like wow, it's luxury because one tudung costs about 300, 500, okay, and people still buy it. I think last time people queue dia keluarkan collection yang baru, people sanggup queue nak dapatkan, the first people nak dapatkan tudung because the way she create and do the marketing sangat-sangat persuasive. So bila persuasive, this is where it retains into uh, your thinking process, your thinking process, your high level perceptions. So sometimes you kena study juga human behavior, how to capture the attention of the user. Okay. All right. So thinking patterns again. So thinking process, okay, related to what the thinking skills. Yeah. What are the process that eventually happens when you start thinking? So concept formation. So as a researcher, as a PhD student, kalau you buat masters by research, when you read something, okay, you have done your journal critique, right? So you compare. Okay, 3 different articles. You compare in terms of what? Similarities, the differences. You look at the methodology. How different is the methodology? And then what can you look at? Issues, challenges. All right. So this is what concept formation is all about. You critically trying to understand and make sense out of the information. Yeah, concept formation. Principle formation. Okay, recognizing a relationship between or among concept, principle or relationship. Yeah, comprehending, generating meaning. Yeah, sometimes you do meaning making, or let's say you interview, you're talking about cybersecurity awareness, you want to understand why people are not aware about cybersecurity. They don't even know what is cybersecurity. So you start interviewing the people. So once you interview, of course, you have to analyze the answers. Okay, why people don't understand about cybersecurity? So that is comprehension. You buat data analysis, you buat content analysis out of the user interview. Yeah, problem solving, analyzing and perplexing difficult situation or the purpose of generating a solution. Yes, of course, you have information, and you think about problem solving issues, which is how do we approach to this problem? Is there any methods, technique, tools, approaches? Decision making, yes. You also think about how to make a decision out of the information that you have. Yeah. Research, okay. Validating something. Right. So maybe sometimes I'm not sure in the banking whether they have R&D, but I think in some organizations they do have R&D department. Yeah. Perhaps I think in CIMB, they have this customer strategic department where they do research on the consumers. So I think this is good because in Asia also they have this customer strategic department because I think it's good. If you are in the field of giving product and services, I think most importantly is to retain your customer. And how do you retain that customer? The sustainability of your brand, retaining the customer so that they don't run away to another brand, okay, to another services. How do you do that? So you have to research on consumers. You have to research on user experience using your products. What makes their resistance? What makes they using their products? So I think a lot of organizations already aware of UX, UI, this kind of thing. Yeah. And composing, developing a product which may be written, musical, mechanical, or artistic. Yes, we talk about composing. So even musicians also do a lot of thinking. It's not just like they do musics, but how they compose the songs, the lyrics, it must have a melody that suits the lyric or the lyric suits the melody. I'm not sure how it goes. Okay, but from my experiences learning music, the way you impart the melody is actually based on the lyrics. So you have to chunk the lyrics and then play the melodies that suits the lyrics. And in fact the lyrics also is a composition of words that give meaning, that give meaning. So if you take a look at some of the good lyrics like from Hafsah Hassan, these are famous lyricists zaman dulu kala kan. Kemudian apa? Siapa lagi ya yang famous? I think Hafsah Hassan is one of the most contributor ya to lagu-lagu yang famous lah ya. Lyrics dia sangat puitis orang kata. Even Fitri Yahya pun also write good lyrics ya. Sangat orang kata the abstractness, okay. So yeah, composing, okay. Oral discourse, okay. Talking with other people, yeah. Sometimes thinking process also takes in through oral discourse. Sebab tu you ada forum perdana lah, forum this and that, okay. Especially when you talk about with expertise. So these are some of the thinking process, yeah, and also some of the thinking skills that involve in that process, okay. Alright, talking about you dah faham about thoughts and thinking and the process of it. We talk about intelligence and multiple intelligence pula. Okay, so I'm sure you have heard about Howard Gardner, multiple intelligences, yeah. So talking about our education system, yeah. Looking at this cartoon, yeah. For a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb the tree. Okay, ini actually membeli education system yang ada sekarang ya. Tak kira dah di Malaysia ke di luar negara ke, I think it's almost the same. You create a policy, yeah, you create a policy, you create a curriculum, you create a strategy that can be applied to all. When you know that not everyone is the same in terms of skills, in terms of cognitive, in terms of their abilities. Do you agree with that? Are your kids suffering with the current curriculum because the dia punya structure tu dia cover untuk semua ya, dia buat satu structure lepas tu everybody kena ikut, kena follow. So if you think that okay, everybody has to take the same exam, climb up the tree, you think gajah boleh climb up the tree? No. You think badak sumbu can climb the tree? No. So this shows that sometimes your strategies does not apply to all. Yeah, your assessment is not suitable to all. Okay, so our education system, so Albert Einstein already commented, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. Yeah, so imagine you punya KPI kan, you punya KPI. I think some organizations already implement system-based KPI where they track your KPIs. Yeah, tapi do you agree that this kind of assessment, yeah, it reflect back the thinking process tadi, yeah? Because in order for you to come up with the listing, the checklist of KPIs, of course you think about, what are the informations and everything to put inside, what are the checklists that you want to put inside. Do you agree with for assessing somebody's KPI is solely based on this system-based KPI? Do you agree with that? Or you just take the checklist? System-based, computerized based. Do you agree with that? Solely based on computerized evaluation. Do you agree with that? Everyone? Any comments?
I don't have enough experience of working, so I'm going to say no.
Okay. What about those who are working? Those who are working, what do you think? Do you agree that your KPI is going to be observed solely by computer-based system? Or you think that there should be a human intervention in order to assess you? Or a combination? What do you think? Orang yang kerja ni senyap aja. Hello, hello. Yang kerja ni. Anyone? Anyone wants to share? Speak out your mind.
I think, doctor, we have to look at the results lah. Result of the work that we did.
Okay.
Mhm.
You have to look at the mana ni pula? Okay, you have to look at the result of the work. Okay. I I don't know about all of you. I don't know how your organization assessing your performance, yeah. But then in UITM, we have a combination of computer-based as well as human intervention. So human intervention, which is your boss is going to evaluate you about like 20% and 80% comes from the computer base. So I think that is reasonable, acceptable because you need to have human intervention, which is the assessment must come from a humanistic approach. Not, I mean, you can't rely on the computer based, the mechanistic approach 100%. Because when it comes to human, at the end of the day, you still need to have another human to evaluate you based on their senses. Yeah. Same thing goes to if you go to the hospital. Of you nak ke robot yang treat you? You go to the hospital and then you are seeing the robot. And then the robot is programmed, okay, multiple intelligence lah, dia boleh, mimicking the doctors and everything. But your perceptions there is that you still want to see a doctor, isn't it? Because you want to talk to a real human. You want to have the compassion, the empathy, the sound of a doctor who will actually talk to you, okay, to deliver whatever diagnosis and so forth. You don't want to talk to a robot. A robot can be used in the sense of operation ataupun customer service, fine. But at the end of the day, you still want to talk to someone when it comes to health. Yeah, I don't think people agree that the hospital is totally changed to a robotic operated hospital. I'm sure no. Okay, apa-apa pun mesti nak human di situ. Okay, so talking about this education system lah ya, because the policy kadang-kadang dia punya structure everything dia pukul rata semua student sama, semua intelligence sama, semua thinking process sama, tak ya. That's why some students they cannot follow the conventional method of education because the mind is not programmed in such. I think a lot of boys cannot comprehend in the sense that boys are not bookworms, ya. Tak semua boys are bookworms. Boys are more prone to practical. So kalau kita tengok ya, kenapa kemasukan di universiti di kalangan student lelaki kurang? Because they go for TVET. Dia tak pergi pada conventional university. So perhaps from TVET, probably they enter at the university level, but perhaps at the higher level. Ya, ya sebab dia tak minat baca buku. I think university is more theoretical rather than practical. So dia kena pergi institut kemahiran ke whatever that offers more practical subject. Yeah. Okay. So thinking patterns, yeah, intelligence and multiple intelligence. So what contribute to this multiple intelligences? Biological approaches. Ada yang kata brain size, brain activity. Yes, there are research talking about that. Yeah. So you baca lah ya. Kalau bigger brain size pandai ke, kalau small brain size tak pandai ke. Ya. So biological approaches, cognitive approaches, contextual, system approaches. Ya. Lagi apa? So kalau you tengok ya, thinking patterns ni, I tersilap lah. Okay, betul. Alright, so there are many approaches that address on these thinking patterns, yeah, contextual. So context and environment also play important role, yeah, in terms of how it shapes your thinking pattern. So let's say if you put your anak, yeah, in sekolah biasa compared to international school, there is a difference because difference in curriculum, difference in teaching approach, different environment where international school is more interracial, whereas in the conventional school, it may have majority of one race. Yeah. So how they've been brought up, okay, how the interaction and how the mind is built up is different. I'm telling you, it's different. Yeah. Because from my own experience, because I'm a private student, so I don't have I don't have I don't have experience studying in a conventional, I mean government-based public universities. So all my life I studied in a private institution until my degree. So my parents sponsored everything going abroad and so forth. So when I come to UITM for the first time, I was like a bit little bit culture shock, because it's totally different. It's dominated by one single race, and yeah, I have to adapt myself because it's different thinking. The students is different. The working culture is different. Everything is different compared to mine because when I go to a private institution, I'm the minority. Yeah, and you have to be competitive. You have to be smart in navigating yourself to make friends. Yeah, because some people look down on you just because you're another race. Yeah, and yeah, you have to show that you are worth to be friend with. That's the thing. If you ada di server, you become a minority. Yeah. So just to share my experience. So contextual environment does play important role in shaping your thinking patterns and also your intelligences. Yeah. So okay. Theory of multiple intelligence, Howard Gardner, yeah, I'm sure you already know. So people have different intelligences. So that's why when you want to create assessment, yeah, you have to study who are your users. Adakah your assessment ni akan jadi berat sebelah kepada users yang kategori A. Okay? Adakah your assessment ni is good enough to cater for different types of users, for example. Yeah, so everybody, okay, especially children or adults, they're good in many ways. Linguistic, intelligence, word smart. Okay, sebab tu ada yang apa pertandingan spelling bees and all that linguistic. Okay, logical, mathematical intelligence, yeah, spatial intelligence, picture smart, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, body smart, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, naturalist intelligence. So I think interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence do exist in your organizations. Yeah. And yeah, so if your kids are not good in your education, try to discover their potential in different ways so that you can nurture their potential. And doesn't mean that they are not good in education, they are not going to be somewhat successful in the future. Try to, venturing them into something that they really like. Yeah, because nowadays you have options. Tapi sayangnya some parents, yeah, they force the children because they don't have options. Yeah. So normally the first thing when I went into class, my undergraduate class, I will ask them, siapa yang masuk program ni because they like. Because they choose to come to this program, not because the parents paksa ke ataupun I have no other choice. My parents asked me to take this program because as long as I masuk university. Okay. So majority kata, no, this is not our first choice. This is our second, third choice, fourth choice. So I was like, oh, my goodness, okay. I think majority of the students here unwillingly to take this program. So how am I supposed to make it interesting to them so that they think that, their choice is the best. Yeah. So I hope that your choice coming to UITM, your choice taking this program will be the best choice for you. Okay. Jangan ada regret lah lepas ni. Okay. All right. So yeah, thinking patterns. I think it will all start with our education. Okay, how you shape the thinking patterns of the students here, because it will tag along until you become an adult. Okay, you masuk university, you become an adult, bekerja. So I think in a way that communication, yeah, I think I asked my students why they don't want to communicate in the class, because I'm teaching creative and critical thinking in IT in the class, also a part of problem solving subject. A lot of the students just don't want to answer my question. So I was thinking like is the students are lazy to answer my question, or my class is not that interesting. I know I've been doing a lot of activities, less talking but more activities, but still I couldn't get more students to talk. Like now I ask questions semua senyap aja kan. So you are the parents, imagine your anak, okay, your anak macam tu dah, parents pun tak nak cakap, anak lagi lah tak nak cakap. Okay. Alright. So why do you think so? So I asked my student. So they said it comes from the experience of during primary school, secondary school. whereby they are not allowed to ask questions a lot. So it's a very saddening situation, because I know that some teachers, they do not like to be disturbed while teaching, and sometimes they get annoyed when there are too many questions. Sometimes they rasa macam budak ni tunjuk pandai pula. Okay, that kind of perceptions. Yeah, but you should encourage students to ask questions, because although sometimes it's a stupid question, but then it allows the student to think. The thinking process is working. Otherwise, they just keep hearing, listening, and that's it. How do you nurture thinking process? How do you nurture creativity? How do you nurture that confidence when at the lower level you despise the interest? Yeah. So too bad lah. Okay. I think in the undergraduate level, I try my best to make sure that everybody talks, everybody participate, because I'm not. It's not interesting that I'm the one who's doing the talking. Yeah. So education system, you can see, because of that, because they don't want to have that traditional way of doing things, that kind of thinking paradigm. So I think what the government is doing is they introduce KBAT. Okay. Alright, mengaplikasikan pengetahuan, kemahiran dan nilai. But I look at the KBAT questions, yeah. I don't know where the creativity is. Siapa yang ada anak yang buat KBAT ni, you rasa question dia tu reasonable tak?
Saya tak ada anak, doktor, tapi saya pernah buat kebat lah sekolah tu.
I was the victim.
You
Saya
are the
pun victim
victim?
juga, betul.
You rasa KBAT ke?
Kebat
feel
ni...
dumb.
Okay. Yeah, I look at the KBAT question. Apa ke benda ni? Lepas tu kan bila kita jawab, salah pula tu. I rasa dah logik dah apa yang kita jawab tu, tapi salah sebab jawapan tu mesti ikut template. Mesti ikut template yang cikgu dah bagi. So where is the creative thinking part when you already have template? Do you agree with me? SPM ke, UPSR ke, PMR ke, is all template based. Sampai kan ada workshop ya, yang untuk bagi, okay, macam mana nak jawab soalan ni, macam mana nak jawab soalan ni, betul tak?
Betul, doktor. Sangat-sangat setuju, doktor.
Kan? The effect is that, you know what is the effect? Bila sampai masuk universiti, wah gah lah, okay, dapat semua A, English A, semua A lah. Tapi bila masuk universiti, to write a single sentence in English pun tunggang langgang, I'm telling you ya. Nak write a paragraph of English, fully English sentences, students struggle. Dia nak bercakap pun dia struggle because lack of vocabulary. Sebab selama hari ni template je, template. Bila masuk university, you dah kena ada critical thinking. You must be able to project your own understanding. You must be able to justify, comprehend. Lepas tu apa lagi? You kena banyak bercakap in terms of justification. Yeah, why do you think this way? Why do you think that way? So bila dah masuk university, you template based, memang struggle lah. I think part 1, part 3 kan, I nampak dia orang struggle. Tapi bila dah lama-lama tu, okay, part 4, part 5, part 6 tu dah nampak lah. Okay, part 6 tu dia dah nampak confident level tu. Because we lecturers, we have to mold back. Okay, we have to mold back. We have to make sure that, every tutorial they have to do presentation. So because of this KBAT thing, because the overall education system, ya. So, daripada situ, you nampak ya, mushrooming sekarang ni, like international school and sekolah private yang oppose the traditional education approach. So kalau you pernah dengar ya, Dr. Putri Afzal Maria ni, okay, she totally oppose the kind of education yang melibatkan template based ni, because she knows that it's not going to go anywhere. And she is revolutionizing the education system by humanizing the education. So kalau you pergi sekolah dia, memang dia tak ikut syllabus local, ya. Dia akan ikut dia punya syllabus dan dia akan ikut hard work Gardner. So students can nurture their intelligences based on their interest rather than semua pukul rata ambil subjek maths, semua pukul rata ambil fizik, biology, sebab you tak ada choice, kan? In US in fact in the sekolah menengah secondary school, you can choose the subject tailoring to what you want to do during your undergraduate. So they have so many subjects taken. Kalau you incline to music, dia punya preparation daripada secondary tu dia akan ambil subjek yang related to music. Kalau dia incline to science, okay, nak jadi medic ke whatever, biology ke apa ke, dia akan incline towards that. So more subjects are being offered and being flexible. But in our situation, we don't have that. Kalau you nak ambil music, okay, you ambil art, still you have to take what? Adalah certain subject. Kalau you nak ambil science, okay, apa you kena ambil compulsory physics, biology, walaupun you pergi undergraduate, you tak ambil pun biology tu. Okay, kalau you ambil mechanical engineer, apa kaitan dengan biologinya? Okay, something like that. So some schools being very specific, for example, like Dwi Emas, Dwi Emas International Insya Alam, they concentrate on nurturing students for entrepreneur, thinking as in entrepreneur. Macam-macam lah, but of course it comes with money. So sekolah-sekolah ni berbayar, dan of course lah those who can afford it, people M40 until T20 lah, dia punya fees tu, kalau Dwi Emas ni per month 3,500. So kalau Sri Arya per month like 2,000. Okay. So sesuai lah dengan facilities yang diberikan. Okay. So that is thinking patterns. So thinking patterns, types of thinking also being influenced by different types of thinking. So scientific thinking. So scientific thinking usually as a researcher. Computational thinking. Yes, computational thinking, whereby if you're a computer scientist, you use algorithm, all right, to address the problem situation. Design thinking, if you're a designer, system designer, product designer, system thinking or pattern thinking. Usually we talk about analytical thinking, analysis, people who do data analytics, how they're going to analyze it. So you guna Power BI semua tu semua dah template based tapi the people behind that who is creating that visualization use systemic thinking, pattern thinking. System thinking, yes. How do you, especially during the feasibility study, during the problem formulation, requirements gathering, system thinking also helps them to look into the problem situation where they're using like mind map, rich picture and all that. Cause and effect thinking, yes, you use fishbone diagram, especially in terms of at the management level. You do SWOT analysis and all that. So rational thinking, objective thinking, okay, versus like irrational thinking. So rational thinking usually comes with facts. Contingent thinking approach, okay, contingency plan lah, macam you ada business apa tu dia panggil tu, data recovery planning and all that. Okay, convergent thinking, divergent thinking. So what is convergence and divergence thinking? What is convergence, divergent, emergence? Nanti you akan belajar perkataan emergence. What is convergence? Pernah dengar tak slogan convergent, divergent? Convergent ni daripada TM kan? So apa benda yang di-converge? TM always talk about convergence. Apa teknologi yang di-converge tu? By TM. So what is convergent? What is divergent? Divergent thinking usually creative people lah. Okay, so which is like they're trying to think out of the box. Divergent thinking daripada conventional. So tadi macam humanizing education, all that. The word humanizing itself, which means that is divergent thinking rather than thinking as in conventional, which is the convergent thinking. They tend to divert into a more creative process, for example. Okay, so convergence and divergence thinking, okay, must presence, especially in the design team, because you want to create a product or services that added value to your organization, something different lah. Okay, and okay, time order thinking. Thinking based on time order, okay. Efficient thinking, hypothesis, ini dalam research lah, okay. Structure thinking, conceptual thinking macam you buat models, theories, frameworks and all that, okay. So different types of thinking ya. Tak semua you apply lah. Okay, tak semua you apply. Time order thinking kalau you buat scheduling, timetable, tu time order thinking ya. Okay. Alright. So for a researcher, okay, for a researcher, next time you want to do a PhD, okay, usually researcher they tend to have scientific thinking, conceptualization thinking, and all that. So inductive versus deductive. So researcher always look from inductive and deductive perspective. Let's say you want to do your PhD. So what is deductive and also what is inductive? So deduction is you have an idea. Okay, you have an idea. So you have thoughts. Yeah, you have thoughts. You have idea, and then you observe. Okay, and then you make conclusion. So it comes from the idea. Then you make observation based on what you hypothesize. Okay. But for the induction, you observe the situation first, and then you look at the situation where the patterns recur. Yeah, similar patterns recur. Kemudian you analyze, and then from there you come up with a assumptions, and the assumptions make it a theory. So ini semua PhD level ya. So induction ni more like PhD level where people theorizing a certain situation. So bila benda tu occurs with the same variables, dia akan menjadi satu teori. So that's why you banyak tengok teori. Contohnya technology acceptance model, human behavior theory, information processing theory, semua tu lah cognitive workload theory, semua tu lah. Okay, it comes from observation, and it will take many years of observation to come up with a proper theory development. So this is PhD level. Okay, so deduction normally at a lower level, people just come up with the idea, observe, you put analysis and everything, and then you make a conclusion. Alright, so yeah. Ni you akan attempt this masa you proposal nanti lah. Okay, so thinking pattern system theory. Alright, I think it's just a repetition from the previous ones. Yeah, system. So I think by now you know that a system has a purpose. Okay, ada elements that interact, and also the interaction comes in iterative way. Okay, so what is cybernetics? So what is cybernetics? Dia bukan cybersecurity ya, it's cybernetics ya. Jangan confuse ya. So cybernetics is actually a transdisciplinary understanding of the complex system and their behavior. So it looks into the interaction between parts of complex system through the processes like feedback and communication. That is cybernetics. So whatever components that you have in the system, okay, you study that. All right. So a system itself, yeah, a system itself is actually the collection of elements or components, yeah, organized together, and it interacts with each other. So cybernetic is much more bigger system, all right, and in that particular bigger system, there is subsystems that also interact with each other. So system theory is eventually the understanding, yeah, the understanding or the study that relate to how the system works, whether it comes from the nature, whether it comes from natural system, physics, biology, or whether it under science. So theory ni relate to the context of the system where it resides. Kalau you study education system, so the context dia dalam education lah. Kalau you study transportation system, so context dia maybe dalam logistik dan sebagainya. So kalau you tengok sistem teori ni, ya, dia ada banyak level. Okay, so individual level. So your research next time, your proposal, you nak address level mana? Yeah, so I don't think you nak address sampai chrono system ya. That is too big. Yeah, in fact PhD pun dia address sampai perhaps micro system sahaja ya, tak sampai lah chrono system ni. So individual level, micro, okay, meso system, exo system, micro system, and chrono system. So you see, the higher it goes, the more complex the system is going to be, the more problems that you're going to find. And in terms of how you solve the problems, basically you cannot solve the problems. Yeah, maybe you can reduce the potential risk, you can reduce the potential cost. And in fact, we're talking about chrono system or macro system, ideology, attitudes, or culture. And this is kind of the in thing right now when we talk about macro system, Palestinian versus Israel. This is about macro system problem. Yeah, not just about the ethnic cleansing, it's way back into the geographical conflicts, religion conflicts, you know, conflict of interest, and there are a lot of different factors that contributed to that. So yeah, do you think it's going to be resolved? It is going to be resolved because we believe in the Quran and everything, but then right now is a little bit difficult because different ideology, different attitudes towards culture and everything. Yeah. So I think for masters level, perhaps under this one je lah, tiga ni. Exosystem boleh juga, depends on what topic that you want to look into. Ya. Tapi nak inform you, sistem ni besar sebenarnya. Ya. Okay, so system theory. So system theory derived from system science field. This is more theoretical kalau you go into academic. So system theory, if you want to study system apa you nak study? That related to what? We have physical system, living system, cognitive system. Ya, cognitive tadilah yang you buat long term, short term tu. I think it's more than that. It's not just that. Ya, mental model. We want to understand the mental model of the elderly, for example, in order for you to create an apps that works for the elderly. So you kena faham elderly ni macam mana navigation dia, macam mana pemahaman dia, macam mana they see things. So you study the cognitive system lah. Social system, yes, okay, technological system and all that, okay. So the process which means the system design that cater to the problem solving, maybe the process looking to decision making, problem solving processes, design processes, and at the end of the day, it contribute to the values and aesthetics of whatever technology that you want to produce. Okay. And okay, concept of system thinking. So kalau tengok sini system thinking ni banyak ya. Konsep dia okay. System thinking applies what kind of system representations, okay? And what will be the approach? Okay, system engineering, hard methodological, soft methodological, alright? The principles, the pattern, system concept. So all these processes related to in the process of conceptualizing system thinking. So system thinking, analyzing the problem situation, the factors, the variables that influence the problem situation. So you study the pattern. So I think data analytics actually study the patterns. Yeah, you buat sentiment analysis, you buat apa lagi? Visualizations of the occurrence of the data. So you come up with patterns, yeah, because you want to do forecasting, you want to do predictions based on the patterns, yeah. You nak predict patterns of perhaps Malaysian spending behavior. What is the effect to the economy in the future? Kalau kita duit asyik keluar je kan, contohnya lah, ya. So system thinking, so traditional thinking works one way je. Traditional thinking, A to B, B to A, okay. But system thinking, dia orang kata not to say berkecamuk, but system thinking, you need to form a relationship, form a concept, because when you talk about system ni besar. Nampak tadi yang ni, sistem ni besar. Dia akan ada interrelation even within the circle or intra-circle ni, ya. So imagine when talk about this, ya, system thinking, maksud dia you kena fikir banyak factors. Yeah, still remember the analogy of the vehicle tu, yang orang naik basikal tu, ya. In order for you to derive to the desired state, you have to overcome obstacles, and obstacles ni ada banyak factors. And in fact, whether you are using the right vehicle or you use the wrong vehicle, or in fact the current vehicle tu pun dah ada flaws dia. Tu contoh ya, system thinking maksud dia dalam sistem tu pun dah ada pelbagai factors that will contribute to how successful is your problem solving approach. Okay. Alright, so system thinking, for example, ya, perbezaan antara analytical thinking and system thinking. So kalau tengok sini ya, analytical thinking knowledge equals to how things works. Ya, contohnya lah, okay, you dibagi ingredients kan, nak masak lah, nak masak. Tak tahu nak masak apa, tapi you pergi dapur, you tengok ingredients apa. Bukankah you analyse apa ingredients yang ada and fikirkan nak masak apa, boleh masak apa. Itu contoh paling senang lah I nak memahamkan apa itu analysis. Yeah? So you ada different ingredients, you tend to make meaning of each ingredient. Okay, campur ni jadi masak apa, contohnya. Yeah? But system thinking is not simple as that. System thinking, why things work the way they do. Okay, so synthesis, which means okay, synthesis. For example, like take the engine apart. Ini contoh yang saya bagi untuk engine. So kalau analysis, you take the parts, you study each part tu apa fungsi dia. Tapi kalau system thinking, if you merge this part and this part, what will happen? Contohnya, ya, itu system thinking. So which means parts yang interact with other parts and make it as a whole, which means at the end of the day, you sambung-sambung semua parts tu dia jadi car, okay, maksud tu itulah system thinking. Okay, so you tend to understand the behavior of these different parts, and after that you merge all the parts and it becomes something that is valuable. So that is system thinking. So analytical thinking, you analyze one piece by piece, one by one. Okay, but system thinking, you merge everything and the emergence too becomes apa. Okay, so yeah, some of the system thinking skills you have dynamic, system operational. Nanti kita tengoklah yang ni ya. Okay, so there are two kinds of system thinking, hard system thinking and soft system thinking. So hard system thinking usually comes with mathematical model, statistical model, anything to do with maths. Yeah, fuzzy logic and all that is hard system thinking. So fuzzy logic is also useful in the computational side because kalau mesin basuh kan, you nak you use fuzzy logic, betul tak? You use fuzzy logic because you want to calculate the water level based on the weight of your baju. Betul tak? You agree with me? Or you tak tahu? You tak tahu. Actually washing machine guna fuzzy logic ya. You tahu ke tak tahu? Tahu kan? Ya. So source system thinking applies source system methodology, which is later you going to learn what is source system thinking. Yeah. So source system methodology actually look into the overall situation of that problem situation, and you tend to analyze how the product that you want to propose to interact with that situation. Yeah. So source system mainly regarding to user lah. Yeah. So dimension of system thinking, okay, dia ada banyak dimension of system thinking. So dynamical, model, feedback, pragmatical. So this one is actually to assist you in looking at the problem situation. So problem situation tak semuanya straightforward. Ada yang dynamic. For example, like stock versus flow. Ya, maksud dia the situation tu terlalu dynamic. Contohnya bursa saham ya. Dynamic, dia tak ada static kan. Dia hari-hari berubah. So macam mana you nak create a system that is actually, you know, cater for this dynamic situation. Model dimension, ya. Ini biasalah kalau researcher dia come up with a theoretical model, you know, theory, conceptual, ya, qualitative versus quantitative model, ya. Feedback dimension, cause and effect, ya, indirect feedback, feedback loops and everything, rebalancing, ya. Pragmatical dimension, in terms of, for example, like counterintuitive behavior, okay, timing of actions. What is counterintuitive behavior and macam mana pragmatical dimension? Contohnya like My Sejahtera. Yeah, the apps is eventually to help the user to remind them, okay, kalau dia ada simptom-simptom yang macam ni, they have to go to the hospital, for example. Okay, so okay, just to show you this analogy again. Boss, it's time for you to acquire new technologies. I have only received your email that was sent 2 days ago. If I were to reply to this email, I bet it's going to reach in 3 days' time. So what do you understand by this? Yeah. How does system thinking and problem solving address this situation? Yeah, you have the best technology, you have the technology, but sometimes if you respond to the email late, then what's the point having technology? Yeah. Contohnya macam ni, loading time. Kadang teknologi pun bermasalah juga. Okay, alright. So how does it reflect to system thinking? Okay. So uses of tools. So you akan belajar tools ni, alright, later in other chapters. And this one is actually for your assignments, okay? And this one we take a look at this. Usually I will ask questions based on this in the test, ya. Yang ni lah popular, soalan yang sangat popular. Okay, so example of system thinking tools. So which means, right, you want to model, okay, the problem situation using this system thinking tool so that you understand the problem situation and you can provide a better solution on that. Tak kira lah technological ataupun non-technological solution. Okay, so one of it is causal loop diagram. Okay, so after this, I hope that you can apply it in your organizations, yeah, causal loop diagram. So causal loop diagram looks into the balancing, yeah, and also reinforcing process, B and R. So in a problem situation, sometimes you have to balance in order to make sure that the cause and effect is minimal. So contohnya apa? Contohnya apa? You balance and reinforce. Contohnya ada bagi kat sini lah. Contohnya, okay. Contohnya Amazon, okay. Dia bagi kat sini. Contohnya, if you want to, contohnya ya, if you lower the cost structure, okay, if you lower the cost structure, you lower the price. In terms of customer experience, what will happen? It may reinforce in terms of if you lower the price, it may reinforce in the sense that people will retain to use your product. Okay, but if you increase the cost structure, increase the price, then the customer experience will be the retainment will be lower because mahal kan, contohnya. So how you balance that? How you balance that? Ni contoh ya, ni contoh. Dia tak tulis R dengan apa semua ni, dia tak tulis contoh. So how do you balance that? So this is a kind of model that to show if you want to make decisions, yeah, you show this kind of model. How do you balance and reinforce in the sense that you want to show it to your marketing people or you want to show it to your you development teams on what kind of solutions that actually suitable, catering for this kind of problem. So it's all about balancing and reinforcing. Contohnya macam education system, ya. How do you balance education system? Nak kata balance macam mana ya? How do you or what about economy? How do you balance the economy in the sense that how do you balance the kita panggil sekarang ni apa? Inflation rate. How do you do that? Money flows, money goes in, money goes out. Macam mana? What do you think? What kind of reinforcing elements to ensure that our economy does not collapse, our money does not dwindling more, even further? What do you think? Kalau I
Untuk
bagi
balancing,
Mhm.
untuk balancing, maybe the government need to have initiative to letak market cap ataupun floor ceiling price untuk certain basic needs. Untuk yang reinforcing tu, we need to come up with some way that other nation will invest in our nation lah, in Malaysia. So the money flows in Malaysia, so
Yeah.
we can reinforce the economy.
Yeah, investors, yeah, which means you have to reinforce more investors. So, okay, I bagi contoh ni contoh soalan test ya. I give you a problem situation and you have to represent it in a causal loop diagram on how you try to balance and reinforce in order to overcome the problem situation. Jawapan yang betul tapi depends on how you draw lah. Okay. Contohnya. Okay, so another one is contoh ni lagi satu contoh. Contohnya how to increase employee performance. Alright, kalau you increase working hours, what happened to the energy level? Mestilah turun energy level dia kan. Lepas tu in terms of employee performance, of course employee performance akan turun juga because you increase work hours. Okay, so kalau you reduce, tapi kalau you nak balance it, probably you may have supervisor supportive behavior. Contohnya dia bagi insentif. So bila banyak working hours, I bagi you extra money. That can be incentive to reinforce. Contohnya, okay. Alright. So burnout also ada untuk balancing the burnout and everything. Okay. Ini contoh lah. Okay. So another system thinking tools. Okay. This one also balancing. Dia ada different way. Okay. Supply, demand, all that. Okay. Ini contoh. Alright, another one is stock and flow. Stock and flow ni contoh lah macam saham kan. Okay, so kita ambil ni lah student population. Alright, enrollment rate. Okay, students enroll. Alright. Okay, how it affect the student population, student graduates and graduated rate. So a stock is accumulated over time by inflows and depletes by outflows. Stocks can only change by a flow. So kalau macam saham ya, kalau you beli saham, you stock saham banyak-banyak. Okay, Lepas tu you tak trade, what will happen? What will happen? Adakah nilai tu akan deplete or what?
Saham makan naik turun lah. Depends on the news apa yang begitu buat.
Okay, alright. But what happen if let's say, okay, how do you relate to element of stock and flow ni? Dia macam ni, dia kalau kita simpan lama, okay, kalau kita simpan lama, what will happen? Adakah dia deplete macam kereta kan? Kereta ni kalau kita simpan banyak-banyak kereta, nilai dia akan deplete, betul tak? Dia tak ada nilai. Kalau rumah, kita simpan banyak-banyak rumah, kita beli rumah banyak, nilai dia akan tinggi. Alright? Tapi kalau macam element of stock and flow ni, macam mana?
It depends on market, Doktor.
Okay, how is it?
Kalau macam market tu kalau makin naik, maksudnya makin lama kita punya ROI tu makin tinggi lah. Tapi kalau dia makin jatuh, kita akan negatif lah. Yang mana kalau kita ada simpan dalam masa tertentu amount, then kemungkinan amount kita akan negatif atau akan kita terus habis.
Yes, correct. Yes, yeah. Stock and flow. Yeah. So sometimes in a situation, you have to think about stock and flow type of thinking tools, yeah. Because kalau you simpan lama-lama, what will happen? So you can make sure lah benda tu flow, otherwise how dia nak fluctuate benda tu, you tak dapat benefits from that. Contohnya, okay. So yeah. So talking about enrollment rate, yeah. Kalau banyak sangat student enroll, okay, and then in terms of it depends, ya, bila enrollment banyak, students enroll, and then what happen to student population akan banyak. So graduation rate, adakah dia akan meningkat? Depends, ya. So kadang-kadang kalau semua bagus, dia tinggilah graduation rate, ya. Tapi kalau ada yang failure, it also impact to the percentage of the overall. Okay. So macam mana you nak control stock and flow tu? Okay. Ini dynamic thinking lah. Alright. So system archetypes, ni popular question ya, system archetypes ni. So what is system archetypes? Capture the common stories. Alright. Diagnosing problems and identifying high leverage interventions that create changes. So contohnya drifting goals, ya. Dekat sini drifting goals. Okay, kita pergi satu-satu. Drifting goals. Drifting goals ni maksud dia, you have a goal, but along the way in the process, you tak mencapai goal tu. Okay, you tak mencapai. So the goal is drifting apart. But how do you do the corrective action so that that drifting process tu tidaklah terlalu impact to your decision making or to your organization. So if you look here, alright, contoh yang simple, okay, what I want. Let's say you want a Tesla, okay, you want a Tesla car, tapi you ada gaps itu. Maksud dia, you don't have money, okay, you pressure to settle for less. Sebab you nak simpan duit tu, sebab nak beli Tesla, you makan Maggi je tiap-tiap hari. Okay, pressure to settle for less, yeah, because you want to accumulate money. So what kind of actions to get what I want? Yeah. So action to get what I want. So maybe you can buat part-time job and everything. So compared to what I have. So this is drifting goals. Drifting goals tu maksudnya you ada goal. Okay. Pressure to lower the goal. Yeah. Kadang-kadang macam mana you nak lower the goal? Macam mana you nak mencapai goal tu? Alright. What is the gap? Okay. Delay sebab apa? Sebab you tak cukup duit. Yeah. Corrective action, do part-time job. Actual, buat apa? Yeah, so the critical difference is that lowering the goal immediately closes the gap. So sekarang ni, you kata, alamak, tak boleh lah, tak dapat Tesla. Okay, tak apalah, pakai kancil je. So you tend to lower the gap. So sometimes in organizations, yeah, your goal probably is very high to achieve, and sometimes you have to lower, not to say you don't achieve the goal, but sometimes you have to lower the expectation. Yeah. Okay, so fixes that fail. Ni contohnya, you troubleshoot, tapi fail. Kenapa? Alright. in a fixes that fail situation, a problem symptom cries out for resolution. A solution is quickly implemented that alleviate the system, but the unintended consequences of the fix escapate the problem. Okay, over time the problem symptom return to its previous level or become worse. Ini problem yang macam mananya fixes that fail. Pernah tak berlaku di your own experience, ya? You have a problem, you fix it, tapi bila you fix it dia lagi teruk ataupun dia dia kembali kepada dia sama ada dia punya efek tu lagi teruk ataupun you happen cannot fix it. Contoh due to unexpected situation. Apa contoh fixes that fail? Ada tak? Contohlah kalau orang sakit kan, contohnya kita nak pergi hospital. Okay, so dia ambil apa? Dia ambil lah ubat herba, buat apa yang dekat internet tu. So they're trying to fix it, yeah. But then the effect of the ubat yang dia ambil tu it becomes worse. You know, problem symptom. The symptom become worse, yeah. So what will happen? So let's say dia try to fix tapi dia delay pergi hospital, dia makan ubat yang tak apa-apa tu, lepas tu the problem becomes worse. So fixes that fail. Yeah. So how do you balance that? How do you balance that? Of course lah, you kena pergi hospital balik lah. Okay, you kena pergi hospital balik lah. But that is just a simple situation. But I think organisation is a bigger more situation that fixes that fail, because sometimes you try to fix things, but either it become worse or the problem still recurs. Yeah. Alright, shifting the burden. Ini common. Ini common, especially you work in a team. Okay, kalau lah project tu fail, you salahkan orang tu, tak, you shift the burden tu kepada orang lain. Ataupun you diberi task, okay, sepatutnya you yang buat, tapi you beri kepada orang lain. So shifting the burden. Yeah, I think shifting the burden ni berlaku di mana-mana sahaja. People don't want to be burdened with extra work. People don't want to be blamed with something yang orang kata sepatutnya dia kena accountable with the blame, but dia pergi shift the burden tu kat orang lain. Yeah. In shifting the burden, a problem is solved by applying a symptomatic solution which diverts attention away from more fundamental solutions. So shifting the burden sometimes, okay, you ada problem, tapi you contohnya credit card lah. Credit card. Credit card kan shifting the burden. You hutang dekat credit card Maybank. Lepas tu dia call. Okay, boleh tak you ada certain amount ni you boleh transfer ke? Dia transfer ke mana? Debt tu transfer ke mana? You boleh bayar sikit-sikit. Lepas tu dia transfer ke mana? I pun dah lupa lah. Dia kata transfer ke mana debt tu? You tahu? Bank tak pernah call ke? Bank tak pernah call I tak ada hutang credit card pun dia call. Dia kata kalau ada hutang credit card, you can transfer it to another account. Tapi dia bagilah macam, you know, macam unable to pay bills. Lepas tu dia akan pindah-pindah. Sebenarnya you actually accumulate you punya tu, tapi dia pindah ke different account. Contohnya, I forget lah apa benda tu. I'm sure the bank will call you if let's say they saw you masih lagi tak bayar you punya credit card. But usually I pay, tapi still dia call jugalah sebab apa dia dapat commission lah kan. So you have that burden. Okay, so sometimes shifting the burden, you may reduce spending to match income. And okay, tapi kadang-kadang you have that burden but spending beyond means, unable to pay bills, use credit card to pay bills. So you shifting the burdens to the credit cards. But then you still accumulated the amount of money. Faham tak? So bank ni dia pandai ya. Making it to look obvious sebenarnya you menambah hutang. Kan? Alright? Okay, so what is systemic thinking? So apa beza systematic thinking, system thinking and systemic thinking? Pernah keluar dalam soalan test, ya. Yeah? Alright, so systemic thinking, systematic. Okay, systematic thinking maksud dia thinking in procedures, thinking systematically. Ada methodology, ada procedure. You follow SOP contohnya. System thinking thinking a system as a whole, whereby there is a part, there's an interaction, there are the relationship between those parts. Okay, systemic thinking. All right, thinking in focusing wide focus thinking process. So systemic thinking looks in terms of event, patterns and system. So that's why bila you ada sistem, contohnya forecasting kan, you buat forecasting, prediction ya. Sebenarnya dia adalah systemic thinking whereby you tengok kepada patterns. Patterns yang recurrence patterns. So daripada patterns yang recur, okay, based on the patterns tu, you boleh decipher what's happening. You boleh decipher what will be the solution. Thinking in patterns. Ya. So apa sebenarnya thinking in patterns ni? Alright, so systemic thinking combines analytical and synthetical thinking. So tadi kita belajar pasal apa analytical thinking versus apa tadi thinking, analysis versus system thinking ya. So now analytical versus synthetical thinking. Maknanya you synthesize. Analysis versus plus synthesize, whereby itulah yang you buat dalam assignment 1. Okay, you try to understand how things work together, how things are similar, how things are dissimilar. So okay, you have elements. Okay, you cari common themes and then you tengok repeating patterns. Sama juga macam you buat analysis ya, whether it's quantitative ataupun qualitative analysis. You interview people, let's say 15 people, you nak tahu pasal cybersecurity awareness, and then you tengok for each transcribe. Okay, for each transcribe interview you you tengok, okay, apa jawapan yang lebih kurang sama. So you nampaklah repeating pattern. Kalau semua 15 orang kata dia tak tahu cybersecurity mana, maksud dia you boleh conclude majority tak tahu what is cybersecurity. Contohnya sebab you nampak pattern tu kan. So dalam computational thinking, alright, how do you address this systemic thinking? So you ada problem specification, okay, you tengok kepada problem tu, maksud dia problem tu recur. Banyak situation problem yang sama recur. So based on that problem, you propose algorithmic expression. So daripada algorithmic expression tu, okay, you tend to generalize whether the problem have been solved or not. So sama juga you buat pattern recognition, image recognition, sebab dia tengok kepada pattern tu. In order for you to do image recognition, you dah kena install different kinds of image dalam tu supaya that machine learning tu dia boleh proses. Okay, bila tengok image ni, dia tahu image ni image apa. Ya, you tahu kan macam mana machine learning tu works, alright? Okay, so tools for system thinking. So iceberg. Ni pun ada lagi satu thinking tools ya, iceberg. So seeing what's below the surface. Sometimes kita tengok di atas saja, kita tengok di bawah. Okay, so what you see is actually the event that happens, tapi what is generally unseen, kesusah payahannya tu di bawah. Okay, kita nampak satu event tu best lah. Okay, berlaku macam contohnya Hari Kemerdekaan Parade. Kita nampak gah dekat TV. Tapi behind the scene tu susah payah orang yang organizer tu siang pagi petang siang malam nak fikir pasal props, nak fikir pasal pergerakan dan semua dan sebagainya. We don't see it. Okay, so the thing is that what is generally unseen is actually patterns of behavior, which is what's been happening, what are the trends, what changes have occurred, and structure of the system, patterns, policies, structures, and everything, mental models, until to the lower level, mental models and everything. So if you look at the internet banking website saja, kita nampak, okay, cantik, the flow dia cantik semua, tapi the back end tu, how the designers think of, dia kena study human behavior, dia kena study long-term, short-term memory information processing, dia kena study, what kind of mistakes that people do, and in terms of the activities, and also what kind of services that they want to put in. So system thinking dia terlalu kompleks, kalau you nak buat diagram in terms of how internet banking works, even the structure of the system and everything, because sekarang ni everything it can be done by using banking. Sometimes dia boleh link kepada ASB, dia boleh link kepada you punya loan, apa lagi, you punya tabung haji, banyak benda. So dia punya structure of the system tu dah jadi kompleks, So thinking about event, okay, what's visible, all right, what's happening, and what's hidden, again, what's been happening over time, what's influencing the repeating behavior, what beliefs stimulate the behavior. So if you look at the Palestinian-Israel conflicts, we only see the surface. What behind that, as I said, It's a matter of religion conflict, geographical conflict, political conflict, and then ada influence daripada luar dan sebagainya. So these three different things. So konflik tu sebenarnya berlaku dari dulu lagi ya, di zaman-zaman Nabi lagi. So benda tu dibawa ke depan ya. So that's why nowadays what we see is just the occurrence of the event, but di belakang-belakangnya this thing that is being denied by the Western media ya. Yang belakang ni what's hidden is being denied. They always, kalau you tengok interview with Piers Morgan ya, he always interview the pro-Palestinian starting with 7 October. 7 October, Hamas, this and that. I pun sakit jiwa I tengok Piers Morgan tu. I think his life start during the 7 October. Every time dia akan question benda tu, dia tak question yang belakang-belakang ni ya. Dia deny even the answers by the pro-Palestinians. Yeah, they start talking about the conflict emerge from political conflicts, religion, semua tu dia tak nak tengok tu. Dia tengok yang Hamas, kejadian dengan Hamas yang 7 Oktober tu aja, to justify whatever event that occurs today. Yeah, so sakit jiwa tengok. Okay, so yeah. So sometimes, using these tools, we need to understand the mental models, the structure, the pattern, semua tu, dan baru kita tengok the emergence, the outcome. So I think internet banking is the best example that you can see, and then you have done the exercises. So I think you have understood, okay, the mental models of the user, how the designer actually captured and understand the mental model of the user, and how they design it into the website. Okay. And last but not least, okay, looking into this, okay, holistic thinking. So eventually, all right, patterns will lead to emergence. Okay, so what is emergence? Emergence too is something like, for example, okay, a system, okay, is not the sum of its part, is a product of the interaction. So you have the internet banking, okay, dia ada banyak function di situ. But the emergence of the internet banking is whereby people can do many things. All right, people don't have to queue. Their user experience become better because tak perlu queue, tak perlu interact. Sekarang ni kalau you ada masalah, you kena call customer service kan. Customer service nak dapatkan operator tu pun 1 jam rasanya menunggu. Okay, kena dengar lagu-lagu dulu semuanya. So the emergence is how people interact with the system, whether the system provide best services, good services, ataupun bad services. So so contohnya lah macam ni ya. Contohnya, okay, emergence is the natural side effect of assembling parts into a system. Alright, contohnya kalau you meditate dah lama, you ambil yoga, semua tu you meditate. Okay, lama-lama you become your emergence, you become calmer. Ya, contohnya you mengaji, hari-hari mengaji, you mendalami religious study apa semua, emergence adalah lama-lama you become more subtle, more patient, macam tu lah. So emergence ni result of that interaction, result of the experience. So whatever product and to like 2 years, 3 years to come, what is the effect, for example? Contoh, kalau natural environment, kita asyik buat deforestation, kita asyik buat pembangunan aja. What will happen? Emergence adalah ada green effect, ada you tengok climate change sekarang ni ya, kejap-kejap hujan, kejap banjir, semua tu. I think dulu banjir kilat susah nak dengar, sekarang ni banjir kilat almost every month. So that is the emergence whereby deforestation happens, whereby constructions rapidly develop. There's no policy, there's no nothing to prevent all this. Yes. So that is the emergence. So emergence can be good and can be bad. All right. Okay, so so holistic thinking in problem solving, you apply system thinking, you apply systemic thinking, and then systemic thinking also derived from the process and outcomes can be aesthetically acceptable, ethically, culturally, spiritually, ecologically, and not just technically, economically, socially, practically, or politically. So kalau you tengok kalau you nak buat research walaupun you are a technology, sometimes you buat research too can go into this looking at some students, they go into the aesthetic view of the system. yeah, ethical approach, which means looking from the ethical point of view of cybersecurity, for example, yeah. Culturally, like my student, PhD student, dia tengok culture. Maksud dia culture in Nigeria. Dia cybersecurity awareness dia good ke, tak bagus ke, contoh dia. Spiritual. Yes, my student actually look into spiritual technology. Yeah. And spiritual doesn't have to be religion based because my student is doing spiritual technology from the point of view of indigenous. How she wants to capture indigenous spiritual knowledge. Yeah, because indigenous ni dia ada tacit knowledge yang kalau lah orang tu mati, okay, yang generation baru ni dia tak boleh nak absorb unless dia mengajar lah orang tu. So macam mana nak guna teknologi ni untuk store that knowledge, to digitize, to archive that knowledge. Okay, ecologically responsible. So yeah, talking about technology, for example, like nuclear. Nuclear technology because it's the substitute of the biodiesel technology, but people have been using it for like mass destruction weapon. Yeah. So how responsible it is when you talk about nuclear energy? Ya, sebab nuclear energy ni sangat-sangat environmental, not to say environment, tapi dia reduce biodiesel consumption lah, sebab biodiesel consumption ni kalau you korek-korek kan petroleum whatsoever, lama habis lah kan. So apa alternative that you nak ada nak generate energy ni? Kalau daripada air pun ya, you punya hydroelectric pun lama air tu pun kering because of the environment. So you have to think about all this, ya. So tak semestinya teknologi, nak fikir pasal teknologi je. Sedangkan teknologi tu, after you develop tu pun you dah kena fikir, okay, user experience dia, how the interaction and so forth. So cyber security, please open your mind. There are so many issues in terms of cybersecurity, not just on the technology, how to create the best version of cybersecurity. Tak. Kadang-kadang we have to look back into the effect to the society, to the community, or how is it? I pun tak tahulah kan. Tapi kalau looking IT as a whole ni, banyak benda you boleh address. Yeah. Okay. So although your CSP 750, you're going to take it in SEM 3, if I'm not mistaken, for those part timers. Yeah. But then you can think about it now. Okay. What you're going to do for your proposal later. Yeah. So you can take a look into all these matters. All right. So thank you, everyone. So I will see you again next week. Yeah, there is no tutorial question for this week. So we continue next week for lecture 5. And I think I will share with you the folder for you to send in your first assignment. Okay, ada yang tunjuk kat I, the collections of the papers and everything. Okay, so far so good. All right, so I hope that you can do your journal critic well. All right, so and I think the next task will be on the workshop, and then the third task will be on the project. So I think by next week, I probably going to spare some time to explain about the project, because the project is kind of a big chunk of marks there. Okay, so take care, everybody. Have a nice weekend. Yeah. And try to finish off your journal critic as soon as possible. Okay, bye. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Doctor.